we start things off here. Topic number one of the conversation, freshman outside linebacker William Anderson. Freshman 5-star outside linebacker Will Anderson. People, I've been covering Alabama football for quite some time now for TDA. This will be my 12th season doing this for the brand, and I have never seen fans, people, this excited, this happy, this overjoyed about a pass rusher. Never have seen people this overjoyed for a pass rusher in my coverage of Alabama football. I mean, I've seen people excited about quarterbacks and running backs and receivers and defensive backs, things like that. But I've never seen people so excited to the point where they can't even see straight when it comes down to an outside linebacker, a pass rush, an edge rusher at the outside linebacker position. People are really, really excited about Will Anderson, and for obvious reasons. I mean, this is a young man that 6'4", 235 pounds, the pride of Hampton, Georgia, played ball at Dutchtown High School, was a wrecking ball at Dutchtown, I must say that. And during his senior year, he anchored a defensive unit that gave up 7.7 points per game. He's got 22 sacks his senior year, 15 tackles for loss. If you go back and watch the practices for the U.S. Army All-America game, the practices and the game itself, Anderson was just unblockable. He was impossible to block. I mean, he embarrassed some of the best offensive lineman prospects on the field. He was forcing turnovers. He was having quarterbacks on the ground all game long, all practice long. It was a menace, a terror, an absolute menace there on the field, that being one, Will Anderson. And despite him not having spring practice, despite, Alabama having to fight for the preseason practice program, Nick Saban having to fight for that, and this fall camp not being your typical average fall camp, Anderson, folks, he has dominated. I mean, he has flat out dominated fall camp. I heard from numerous sources, in 2 scrimmages combined, Will Anderson, 10 sacks. 10 sacks in 2 scrimmages combined. Nick Saban's talking about him. Pete Golding's talking about him. His teammates talking about him. Fans are Googling him, and everybody's talking about Will Anderson. And on Thursday, Landon Dickerson and DJ Dale were in player interviews via Zoom. I got a chance to be on the Zoom call with both guys. And DJ Dale was near speechless. I mean, the question was thrown to him about Anderson, and he was like, man, this dude, he's just got it, man. He just got it, man. Great listener, great talent, great player, great guy. He came in here with it. He just got it, man. This dude he just got it, man. Like, DJ Dale was rendered speechless talking about Will Anderson, and then Landon Dickerson comes behind him and goes, great player, great athlete, terrific dude. He has done some things in practice that just make you scratch your head and wonder, did I just see that? Did I really saw what I just saw right there from Will Anderson? So everybody right now talking highly about this young man and what he's going to look to do on the field in terms of pressuring quarterbacks, creating sacks, helping this defensive front get back to that nastiness that we have known to see it be under Nick Saban. And I know I said on a previous show talking about Freddie Roach and the defensive line, how many sacks can Freddie Roach coach out of his defensive line? And though I feel like and still feel like Coach Roach is going to have that defensive front where it needs to be at, attacking the quarterback, hitting the quarterback, making big-time plays, at the same time, just talking about Will Anderson, this is crazy. This young man is the closest thing that Alabama fans have seen to Tim Williams in quite some time. This is the closest thing to Tim Williams Alabama fans have seen since Tim Williams left Alabama to pursue the NFL after the 2016 season. And what's crazy is Tim did, as good as Tim was, as dynamic as Tim was, as great as Timmy Williams was, Tim did not pop until year 3. Think about that for a moment. Let that rotate in the brainstem, the cerebellum there for just a moment. Tim did not pop until year 3. He came in 2013 with A'Shawn Robinson, with Jonathan Allen, with Reuben Foster, with Eddie Jackson. He came in with those guys. He did not really play for real in his freshman year. He didn't play much his sophomore year. It was his junior year, 2015, where Tim just snapped. That junior year, 10.5 sacks, a bunch of tackles for loss, a bunch of quarterback hurries. Tim snapped his junior year. We saw what he became as a senior 2016, but Tim did not pop until year 3. We're looking at Will Anderson's come in here now, creating this buzz, creating this attention, creating this excitement. He's got everybody talking about him, looking at him, bringing him into the conversation. So, and for a lot of Bama fans that I have conversed with, this is the big thing here for Will. Will Anderson's floor is Tim Williams. That's his floor. That's a pretty darn good floor. Will Anderson's floor is Tim Williams, but his ceiling? This brother's ceiling. And that is if he stays the course, he works hard, he gets better, he continues to grow, he fine-tunes. His ceiling, potentially, if he does everything the right way year by year by year, his ceiling, potentially, he can get close. He can get close to what Derek Thomas was. I know when people bring up Derek Thomas, I no. Nobody will ever touch DT. That's DT. That's the greatest of all time. That's the man. That's the legend. That's the head honcho. That's numero uno. You ain't touching Derek Thomas. But I'm just saying, William Anderson, if he stays the course, continues to grow, continues to get better, fine-tunes the technique, he has some traits, some tendencies to at least get close. At least get close to what Derek Thomas was at the University of Alabama. But people are just overly excited. They are overjoyed about what this young man, Will Anderson, can bring to the table. I mean, folks, you got mamas, you got mothers of players from the 2020 class. They're talking right now, Will Anderson, this brother, he's an android. He ain't human. This man ain't human. Like, you got mothers in this 2020 class. Players are in this 2020 class. They moms are talking like, this brother right here, Will Anderson, is not human. Nick Saban has mentioned he is going to get time on the field. He looks at Will Anderson as somebody that's ready right now to play winning football, to get on the field, and to do his thing. And what's funny is prior to fall camp, all 4 freshman outside linebackers that Alabama signed in this class were getting the same amount of conversation. Will Anderson was getting conversation. Drew Sanders got conversation. Chris Braswell got conversation. Quandarius Robinson got conversation. I mean, they all got conversation prior to fall camp, but it just looks like Will Anderson has done that nursery rhyme. Remember, hey, diddle diddle, the cat in the fiddle, and it ends up with in the dish, ran away with that spoon. I mean, Will Anderson has ran away with the entire conversation doing that. I mean, everybody's talking Will. Will Anderson's the one that everybody is talking about. And the question becomes now, how many sacks can he get here as a freshman? How many can he get as a freshman? And then number 2, who steps up to help him, right? Because I still think that Drew Sanders is the number 2 guy behind Will. I still think it's Drew Sanders. I mean, here's a guy from Ryan High School, by the way, of Texas, Denton, Texas, that was a 2-way player, played quarterback, played tight end, played linebacker. The guy's an angry man. He's got the anger of Ryan Anderson, but he's got the ability as a more so refined version of Dylan Lee. So that's where I look at when I talk about Drew Sanders. I think he's the number 2 guy behind Anderson. But Chris Braswell, that 66-inch box jump he had, coming from St. Francis Academy in the Maryland area, where he took on Bryce Young in high school. And he got some sacks off Bryce Young in high school during Young's time at Mater Dei. in Santa Ana, California, where those two guys played each other. Braswell was able to make some plays there on Young. And then you got Quandarius Robinson, of whom from Jackson Olin High School in Birmingham at 6'5". He's 220 pounds now, but he's got the ability to feel that whole body out. And going back to my discussions with Leonard Stevens, a good friend of mine who runs step-by-step performance training out of Birmingham, he really, has spent a lot of time with Quandarius. He talked about how if Q can feel out the body, if Q can fill out his frame, get to between maybe 245, 250, he could be the next Courtney Upshaw. And that's a big deal right there if Q Robinson can fill out that body. But right now, the main person that has grabbed all headlines, the main person that has grabbed every inch of the conversation, the main person that has said, ready or not, here I come, and I'm doing this, is Will Anderson. I mean, if there was ever a time to pop, you pop right now, especially on defense. I know people look at offensively. If you want to pop as a running back, as a quarterback, as a wide receiver, you got to pop, right when you get to the program. But at Alabama on defense, especially with the way Coach Saban recruits on defense, and especially with the way Coach Saban recruits at that linebacker position, if you want to pop, you got to pop quick. You got to hit right now. And Will Anderson sees that. He recognizes that. And he is trying to get that done here this season. The teammates talking big about him. Coaching staff talking big about him. Coach Sal Sunseri coaching the young man hard, but he has really taken well to the coaching. He's growing, as DJ Dale said, loves to listen, willing to take things and apply it to his game. But as far as that it factor and that swag, that sauce, that drip, and being a pass rusher, Will Anderson's got it. And he's got it in absolute spades. It's going to be fun watching that young man this season. I mean, I can only imagine the glee on Sal Sunseri's face right now. I mean, you've got Will, Drew, Braswell, Q Robinson, King Wakuda, Kevin Harris II. Like, you got a deep outside linebacker room with Ben Davis and Chris Allen both leading the way for that group. But Will Anderson eating up the conversation. Looking forward to seeing what he does in this upcoming season as a freshman. We take our first break here on the show. Don't touch that dial. We are just getting started here on a Friday. Upon our return, we entertain your phone calls, your questions, your thoughts, your texts, your tweets, your super chats. We get to all of them right after this.
Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwell Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care in support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99 and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to whitwellsports.com and get your Title Towel today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
Thank you for watching Touchdown Alabama Magazine's YouTube channel. To continue to get the best in Alabama football content, subscribe here and turn on your notifications to stay connected with the hottest shows covering your Crimson Tide.